This podcast is for women who are already established, women who know they're capable, but can feel the gap between who they truly are and how they've been operating. This is a show about power, identity, and the exact shifts that elevate how you lead, decide, and sell without performing or chasing or molding. I'm Dr. Sonja Adzovic. This is I Have a Story for You.
I was in high school. I knew that I wanted to go into medicine. I'd known my entire life. So I also knew that I needed to take the 3 sciences, the 2 maths, English, and something else. I have no idea what I took as a something else. And the more that I went into science, the more that I noticed that biology is really chemistry, the deeper down you go. And chemistry is really physics, the deeper down you go. And I thought this was so fascinating because my physics teacher, who I will not say his name for privacy reasons, but was a genius. He was Russian and had the most fabulous name. I loved saying his name. So I went to Ursula Franklin Academy and we called our teachers by their first name. And he had a phenomenal first and last name. I mean, it was so much fun to say. He was an absolute genius. He had a doctorate in physics from Russia, and he was teaching us physics. And he would always say, everything is physics. Life is physics. Everything is physics. From grade 9 onwards, he always said this. And I never knew what he meant until I got deeper into biology, chemistry, and physics, that I saw biology is really chemistry, chemistry is really physics. He was right. And I remember though, and I never knew where this part of me came from, right? I remember walking out of his class one day and he's behind his massive counter. He's standing there. And as we're leaving the room, he tells us, you know, the most important course you're going to do, the most important thing you're going to do is physics. You know, it's not art, it's not anything else, it's not, you know, the languages, it's not anything else. Physics is everything. And at that moment, there was a voice inside my head, I don't know where it came from, that just said, yes. But without art, there is no point. There is no point to life then. And I think he knew this to some extent because he also was an amateur actor. He performed Shakespeare. He was phenomenal. He performed all over Toronto. He was amazing. And so I think he knew this to some extent. And that thought, when it got through my head, yes, but there is no point without it. And I kind of forgot about this for years. For years, it had kind of fallen to the side until recently I remembered that. And I was thinking about it, how it's the same with the masculine and the feminine. When we finally got a seat at the table, and we as women, so when we women finally, after hundreds of years of being second-class citizens, finally got a seat at the table, finally got a say at the table, it was in their system, which means it was the masculine system. So the understanding was, you can be here and you can have a say as long as nothing changes for us. As long as we can continue doing the exact same thing, you're fine to be here. You're not welcome so much, especially at that time. But we understand this is a situation now, and as long as nothing changes, you can stay. So what does that mean for women? We had to adopt the masculine. And since then, so I'm talking early 1900s when this all started, up until today, the masculine way of doing things has been the modus operandi for everyone. Because being female, having the feminine was seen as weak, as being less than. And the masculine, the go, 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 the 24-hour cycle, the hustle, the being tough, the showing no emotions by doing. That was a badge of honor for women to be able to say, hey, we can keep up. We can do it just as well as you guys. And it made sense why this had to happen. Because again, that was the understanding at the table. Hey, as long as nothing changes. So if you want a seat at this table, you're going to have to operate the way we operate. And if you want to succeed, this is the way you need to do it. Because there was no other model to do it, right? Up until that point, succeeding in the feminine way wasn't a thing. Women couldn't succeed in politics and industry, in the arts, any other way, because they didn't even have a seat at the table before. So we had no model for how to do it the feminine way. So we had to do it the masculine way. And I fully embraced this, like every other woman. There was no other way to succeed in the system. Put aside my feminine, and I got into the masculine. I fully embraced it. Fully embraced the hustle. I fully embraced being tough. I fully embraced ignoring my feelings. I fully embraced showing up no matter what. I even embraced more masculine ways of dressing, the shoulder pads and the really kind of edgy, any sort of softness was put to the side, because I wanted to succeed. There's a massive drive to succeed, and this is the way to do it. But what happens when you do things opposite to your nature for so long? What happens? Well, what happens is we start having headaches. We start growing anxiety, depression, unexplained pain anywhere in our body, in our backs, in our necks, in our shoulders, right? In our uterus, stomach, any sort of pain. Pain starts appearing out of nowhere. A lot of the times it's pain that medicine cannot even find a logical reason for. You do all the testing, there's no logical reason for it. Strange symptoms, right? Anxiety is rising, depression is rising in women, burnout is rising in women, unexplained pain. You know what else is rising? Autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune diseases are extraordinarily rising in women. They've always been disproportionately in women, always, and now they are skyrocketing. When we do things opposite to our nature, nature reacts. Golden rule. That's just the way it is. And I always felt that there was an untapped potential, that I was doing things, but I always thought, it feels almost harder than it needs to be. I always felt that I was kind of trying to squeeze or mold myself to fit, right? I wasn't just being, I was squeezing, I was forcing, I was pushing, I was molding. And I thought, this is something feels off. This isn't the right way for me to do it. And that's when I started looking into feminine and masculine and started looking at the advantages of both. I started looking into yin and yang. I started looking into different cultures, and every culture has this symbol of balance. It's balance in both of us, right? In men and women, especially in women. We have been focused so much on the masculine, we completely forgot the feminine. We forgot the powers the feminine has. We forgot the extraordinary power that women have, that the female body has, guiding, directing, seeing things that others can't, finding meaning, finding beauty, seeing things from an outside perspective, seeing farther than you can when you're constantly go. When you're constantly, in the doing, in the nitpicky. You can't see far. You can't see patterns. That is the feminine. The feminine can see those patterns. The feminine could direct. The feminine can guide while multitasking, right? While multitasking, you can see far. Why would we ignore this? Why wouldn't we use this to our advantage? Why would we say, hey, we're going to ignore all this because somebody told us that it's weak and it's soft, and we're just going to focus on the masculine? That's all we're going to focus on. That's all we're going to do. We're going to put aside all of these other skills that we have. And if we think about the female, if we think about how powerful it is, right? And you think about a queen, and she's on her throne, and she's sovereign. She reigns. And all these people down there are talking and battling, and they're trying to figure out what is the best course of action. What does she do? She sits there. She listens, and she's calm, and she has a calm nervous system. She's not down there trying to argue her points. That's not where she thrives. She thrives as looking at the whole situation and then saying, okay, this is the course of action we're going to take. And then others go and they do it. And she stays and she reigns from her throne. That is the power of the female. That is that power of feminine leadership. If we try to go out there and do battle, this is a very ancient analogy, but if we try to go out there and we try to do battle and we try to do those things, we can do it. Clearly, we can do it. It's been over 100 years, and look how far we have come. We have women in every industry. We have women in top spots in every industry in the world by doing it the masculine way. That just goes to show the incredible power of the female body. We are literally doing opposite to what our nature means for us to do and the skills that we have, and we are ignoring them, and we are still succeeding. Just think about that. Just think about how extraordinary that is. Now, how incredible would it be? How far is it possible to go by using these untapped skills? How far will you then go? And for me, it's become having both, right? This doesn't mean just sitting and planning, right? You still have the masculine parts of doing. I still do. I still write my podcast episodes. I still research. I still write my outlines. I still show up. But there's all these untapped skills that I now go into. My motto for myself is I am audacious and I get to be soft. And I look at softness now, it's not weak, but as a part of me, as a part that nobody else gets to have, that men do not necessarily always get to have. Some do, which is awesome, but most don't, right? Naturally, most don't get to have that softness in the way that we have. And using that gives us untapped skills. So there's all these things that we can use to our advantage. For example, cycle tracking. We are not the same person in every part of our cycle. Men focus and function in a 24-hour cycle. We do not. That means that they can show up the same way every single day. What they did yesterday at 9 a.m., they can do today at 9 a.m. What they did at noon, they can do again today. Great. That's awesome. Women function on a 28-day plus or minus cycle, which means that because of the hormones rising and falling, we are a different person every day. We have certain advantages when we show up to do skills on certain days. So if you're filming, you are more magnetic on certain days. If you are speaking on stage, you are more ravenous on certain days. There are certain days that are more for creativity, long-term thinking. Why show up on days that are meant for cozy, under the blanket, thinking, planning far ahead? Why would you show up on stage and shoot yourself in the foot? Sometimes we don't have a choice, absolutely, right? This filming today isn't happening on the best day, but I'm going to compensate for that later by doing the cozy and the creative to not miss out on that massive opportunity for that creative potential in this part of the cycle. So cycle tracking, use those advantages, use the ability to work better on certain days. Use it. Your beauty. Women who put on makeup and put more effort in earn 30% more than those who don't. Fact of life. Use it. Use it to your advantage. multitasking. We can multitask in a way men just can't. Use it. Get more done in a day when it's the right day for that than a man ever could, right? You're all over the place. You're doing stuff. You're multitasking. You can do that, right? You be thinking about different things. I know you can text and answer, your friend about if you're going to meet on Friday and research the weather and decide where you're going to wear. I know you can do that all in the same moment, right? Use it. You can see patterns. You can bring the big picture. You can see things that other people can't. I know you can, even if you don't want to say you can. Use it. Use these skills. Because at the end of the day, you can stick to your masculine and you can push that boulder to the very top of the mountain. Easy. You can walk and push and shove that boulder all the way to the top of the mountain. Absolutely. We've seen it in every industry. We've seen women rise and do it this way. But also, why wouldn't you just ski up that mountain and push up that boulder? Why wouldn't you just embrace the feminine and use your skills, use your advantages to get to the top even faster, realize there's an even higher top and reach it faster than you ever could? That's the power of embracing the feminine.